The F1 teams have released all of their liveries for the 2023 season, so I figured, why not rank them in a tier list? Because I do that for literally anything that I can rank. First up, we have the blue and pink Alpine, and I'm throwing this in average. I just do not like these two colors together. I think there has to be a better way for Alpine to do this livery. I think a fun idea might be to do a color gradient between the two and have a little bit of purple in there. I think that could be fun. Do something completely different. Plus, the amount of exposed carbon, which is a heavy theme this year, it just seems unfinished. I honestly really just wish they would go full pink, because the full pink car, I'm putting in one or two tweaks. I really like this car. I think that pink and black is a good color combination. I think it gets the message of BWT across. I think they have the Alpine blue within the BWT logo. So I don't know why Alpine are so committed to having that blue. This just looks so much better than the other car. And so I have one or two tweaks to it because they should make it their full car. Just do it, Alpine, do it. But I guess maybe they just don't want to be Racing Point, but I don't know. It's annoying. Next up, Aston Martin. And this is an absolutely gorgeous car. I loved their livery in 2022. And I love their livery in 2023. I think they cut back a little bit on that bright green accent, but other than that, I just love this car. I love that it's different. I love that they do have exposed carbon, but it's not in obvious places. Like, it flows smoothly and it still looks like a mainly painted car, which some of the other teams could learn from. But yeah, there's nothing I would change on this car. It's absolutely gorgeous. Next up, we have the AlphaTauri, and this one is going in deleted. I have now been a fan. This is coming into my third season as an F1 fan. This is my least favorite livery of any of the cars that I've seen so far. It is horrendous, especially from the front view. Just that all white front nose just looks awful. I hate it so much. And the red colors just look thrown on. It doesn't feel like a cohesive car. They just kind of threw those red bits in there willy-nilly with no real thought to it. I just feel like they could have done some much smarter things with this, and I just do not like what it looks like at all. And then the exposed carbon in there with the navy, it's just like, it's just too messy. And it just doesn't look quick. So I'm very worried for AlphaTauri this year. Next up, we have the Alfa Romeo, and I'm throwing it in one or two tweaks as well. I really, really, really like this car. I love that they kept the Italian flag on their rear wing. I love the red. However, I don't like it quite as much as 2022's car. I think I liked the white on there, but I understand that they're probably removing it as a cost-cutting measure. But other than that, it is a very gorgeous livery. So just that little tweak of the white that I kind of miss. Next up is the Williams. And the Williams, I am also going to throw into one or two tweaks. I love the Durso boundary on this. I think it's so clever, and I feel like that's a sentiment held by a lot of people in the F1 community. I like that the Williams has decided that they're sticking with blue for their color, but I wish they would use a little bit more of that electric blue, because I feel like that's a color that kind of differentiates themselves from the other teams on the grid. There's a lot of blues on the grid, and I think that electric blue is something different, and I feel like they should lean more into that and utilize it a little bit more on their livery. But yeah, I think very similar to their last year's car. Last year's car really grew on me throughout the year, and I think this one is quite nice as well. Next up, we have the McLaren, and kind of opposite to Williams, I feel like the McLaren has gotten worse and worse over time. Come on, I want it ahead of the Alpine. There we go. The thing that bugs me about this livery is the blue. I just don't get it. I don't get why they're trying to make blue happen. it doesn't really match any of the sponsors they have on their livery. It's like they're throwing in this accent color because people love the Gulf livery, and it doesn't work for me. I think I've seen a few people do some mock-ups of the car without that blue accent, and I think it just looks so much better if they just kept it to a black and orange car. I think that would be really, really cool, because you can see the cars that are just one or two colors, I just like them so much more. Like the Ferrari, iconic for being red. Aston Martin, iconic for picking the British racing green and sticking with that. Williams, sticking with just blue. And then as we'll see, Mercedes, although they seem to flip-flop back and forth, but they always have one color being their main color. I don't like this car. And I think it's just gotten messy with the, like, I love the chrome wheels, but the chrome branding on the gearbox, it just looks messy. It looks too fiddly, and I think the best cars are the ones that are solid blocks with not too much detail. I feel like that is a better way to go. So I wish that McLaren would get rid of that blue. I don't like it. Next up is the Red Bull, which is glowing and classic but boring. I know 20 years from now, we're going to look back on this era of cars and that Red Bull livery is going to be iconic. They've used it over and over, and similar to the Marlboro, I can't say Marlboro, similar to the Marlboro McLaren. It's an iconic livery, but the fact that they've used it year after year after year is starting to get annoying. And so it's a classic, but I'm just throwing it in the boring category because at this point I want him to do a little bit of a change and not give us an hour-long livery reveal at 6 a.m. for my time and not change the car. Please, Red Bull, just do a little something different for the next year, please. Next up is the Ferrari, and I really, really, really loved the car initially at the launch, but I think I was caught up in the hype of the launch and the fact that they showed this car on track and just made everything so exciting. But I definitely do not like it as much as last year's car, and so I'm throwing it in 1 or 2 tweaks. There's 2 small things that bug me about this. One being the Celas logo being in the black. I just think it kind of breaks the flow of the side view. It's also right next to the Shell logo, and I think it's too clunky in that area, and I think they should kind of smoothen it out. I also don't really like the red on the front wing end plates. I think it was much better not last year when they just had the black there. But I absolutely love the Ferrari on the back wing. I love that they took that feedback that everyone gave them from them having it on their car in Monza. Everyone loved it, and I think it looks great. I love that they've brought it back, and it almost bumped it up to a gorgeous for me, but I think those 2 other details just bug me a little bit too much, so I have Ferrari in 1 or 2 tweaks. Next up is the Haas, and the Haas I'm also throwing an average. I liked it on launch. I think it's been better than their last 2 liveries since it's no longer Russian. But Haas doesn't have anything that makes their liveries iconic. I've mentioned this when I was talking about the McLaren car. A lot of the good cars or like the most iconic liveries on the grid have one color that you can point to and say that is that team. So even in the past, like a team like Renault, that yellow, that was Renault. I feel like what Haas should do is pick a color and make that their iconic color. Maybe they won't go with the yellow because of Renault's color, but maybe pick like, I don't know, like a fun purple, or go with like a gold. No team uses gold currently, or maybe like a more lime green, or just like something that's different, because a lot of teams on the grid are red, black, and white. And I think if Haas want to stand out more, they should pick a color and make that their iconic color. And so I think this tailed off for me because there's just so much more that they could do with it. They kind of had a fresh start and could have gone somewhere completely different with it. And so I'm kind of mad that they've just kind of stuck to this color scheme. Like even their Rich Energy car, like as much as that was an absolute disaster for the team, that car was unique. And so I wish that they would maybe go back to that and make gold their iconic color. I feel like that would be a better way to go. And finally, we have the Mercedes, the black Mercedes. and it's going in gorgeous. I absolutely love this car. I think it's so slick, so sleek. They've stuck to the one color and they've integrated it so that you can't tell how much of it is carbon and how much of it is actually black, which I think is smart. I like that they have that one accent of the silver and the Petronas blue. I think it flows really nice. The sponsors are well placed. I like that they have kept the Ineos red off of the air duct this year. I think it looks a lot better with it just being around the ring of it and then on the back wing. But yeah, there is absolutely nothing I would change about this livery. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's stunning. I guess if you could have one knock on it, it's the fact that literally every car has gone black this year. And so maybe it'll be a bit tougher to identify on the racetrack. But I love it. I think it's gorgeous. And I like it so much better than the silver Aero livery. I don't like the silver at all. And so I'm really glad that they went back to black. So that is my livery tier list for 2023. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you guys later this week for when we'll have some F1 cars on track with testing and Drive to Survive finally coming out. Super excited for the season to start. I'll see you guys around.